Hello, welcome to the wedding of Natalie and the Ogre. Today we will be talking about the medications of multiple sclerosis. Come join us, don't miss out on the fun, and join us to celebrate the bride and groom on this very special day on this magical island. Natalie and the Ogre have invited all magic creatures to come join them in celebration of their special night. And if you look at the guests at the lake right here, they're getting ready before they enter. We see our tiny friends, the frogs, jumping off the lily pads. Lily pads here are to represent lymph nodes, and the tiny frogs, T for T cells, are to represent T cells, the frogs. So the jumping off the lily pads to represent the T cells are activated on lymph nodes. And our second guess are the bees. These B cells. And there in the left back corner, we see a creepy creature just creeping out. Is that lights? Is that? I think these are eyes. I think that's. Oh, that's our friend, the monocyte. He's a magical creature in this forest that just comes in without an invitation. So now the time has come and they want to enter. So they go, but before they can enter to the land, they have to go through security checkpoints. And this this palace is highly secured, and therefore they have fifth generation cameras. Oof, that gotta be expensive. Anyway, so the V cameras, the fifth generation cameras, are to present VCAMs, which are receptors on endothelial cells that lymphocytes can bind to through their alpha 4 integrin, subunit integrin, and enter the bypass blood-brain barrier. But with, yeah. So now that they have checked their IDs, they enter and the fun starts. The festivities have begun. The frogs and bees and monster, they have started a little campfire and they're eating marshmallows. Ooh, yummy. And there we see the beautiful palace the ogre has built throughout the years, and it's V-shaped. V to resemble a ventricle, which I'll talk about in a bit. The ogre really likes to cut trees for fun. Yes, that's his hobby. It's a magical island. They have different hobbies than soccer and baseball. So while he cuts the trees, he uses his favorite axe. He has many of them actually, and their handles are special. They're very special because they're made of marshmallows. Oof. The ogre is very big into marshmallows, as you can see. So, uh, using the handle allows him to be way faster, and using the axes without them axes are very hard to use and very slow. So now we have looked at the island and looked at the guests. Natalie and the ogre are just standing together, imagining their beautiful future. The night is beautiful. The music is on. It could not. It could not get any better. Nothing could ruin this beautiful night. Now, what is that? I guess I was too fast to that conclusion. Our guests have created a mess. I don't know what to say. Where do I start? That little campfire has turned into a massive wildfire that is destroying the forest. And they have eaten all the marshmallows of the ogre, including the one in the axis, or at least most of them, or a lot of them. And the ogre and Natalie are very mad. That, my friend, is to define the pathophysiology of multiple sclerosis. So multiple sclerosis can take that is defined by demyelination of axons, and axons here are represented by the axe, and the myelin are represented by the marshmallows surrounding the axis. So demyelination, when myelin is being eaten or destroyed, the oligodendrocytes by the lymphocytes, the macrophage, uh, that creates multiple sclerosis. Also, another way is through direct inflammation, which the campfire has created a massive fire, as you can see. Uh, Now, with the axis being compromised, being very slow, the trees are going to grow stiff and hard. Many trees. And that, my friend, you see what I did there? Multiple hard trees. Or you could say multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is defined by demyelination and lesions in the central nervous system. A defining feature that is unique is multiple sclerosis periventricular lesions. They're around the brain ventricles. You can see the ballus, which is V-shaped ventricle. It has a lot of trees around it, and when the trees grow stiff, the lesions, that is defining multiple sclerosis in many cases, at least. But, however, to make sure that you remember that the lesions are not confined to that region, they can occur anywhere in the central nervous system. I made sure to put many trees all over the forest and island. Now, Natalie is so mad. Natalie is so mad. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know what to do. Her best night is kind of ruined, but not so easy. She's not just gonna let it go into ruins. She's gonna invite many of her friends, and she's gonna act on herself to stop this mess. First thing she's gonna do, she's gonna call a fire extinguisher to put out the fire, which Michelle will talk about in a bit. But I'll talk about two major medications of multiple sclerosis, the relapsing remitting type, natalizumab and ocrelizumab, very efficient at slowing the progression of demyelination in multiple sclerosis. So natalizumab to start with, look at Natalie. See what I did there? Natalizumab. Natalizumab, first thing she goes to the security checkpoints and she says, no more. No more accepting the alpha-4 IDs as subunits of the guests. And she prevents them from going through the cameras, the VCAM. So natalizumab is an integrin antibody, alpha-4 subunit of the integrin antibody that attacks it and prevents it from binding to the endothelial VCAM. Therefore, lymphocytes could not enter and bypass the blood-brain barrier. Now, if you look at Natalie, she has a crown. And she has a crown, yes, she's a princess, but also to remind you that natalizumab is used for relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis, but also for Crohn's disease. Crohn's disease, crown. See what I did there? Now, natalizumab, unfortunately, is not a side effects-free medication. It has a potential to create multiple adverse effects, including progressive multifocal leukoencephalopathy, herpes infection, hepatotoxicity, and her hypersensitivity. So if you look at her, she's mad. She's too sensitive and emotional, and that to remind you of hypersensitivity. She has big lips, and Ogre like that. Sorry, Ogre, but I think that's just herpes. Yeah, that's just herpes. Because natalizumab does have the risk of causing a herpes infection. And I don't know what to say. I would say Natalie seems a little toxic to me. Toxic? Oh, hepatotoxicity. So, Natalie, she has the lips of a herpes infection. She's too sensitive, aka hypersensitivity, and she has hepatotoxicity. She's very toxic. I don't know. Oof. But hey, I respect the ogre's choice. I'm not gonna judge. Now, going to the ogre, ocrelizumab. The way it acts is by acting as an antibody to the CD20 receptors on B cells. So B cells, specifically CD20 B cells, ocrelizumab attacks them and depletes them. So you can see the ogre right here. With one hit, he hits 20 bees. 20 bees. Remember how many bees? 20. And that is ocrelizumab. It attacks CD20 B cells and depletes them. Among the side effects of ocrelizumab is infusion reactions, hepatitis, and pneumonia. And to remind you of hepatitis, look at his arm. It kind of is shaped like a liver, and that to remind you that it can create hepatitis. And you see, I made sure to have bees uh, around his lungs, and that to remind you that it can create pneumonia. And I made his mustache so long and sharp, and that to remind you that it can create infusion reactions. Now, these medications are usually used for to treat chronic relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis rather than acute exacerbations. For acute exacerbations, the first thing we do when a fire is lit is we use the fire extinguisher, an emergency. And that, my friend, is to remind you that the first thing the way we treat acute attacks of multiple sclerosis relapses is through corticosteroids, aka the fire extinguisher, right here being used to extinguish the fire. Other medications we use to stop the progression of relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis is fingolimod. You can see our friends here, the flamingos. The flamingos, um, the flamingos are walking alone, and what are they doing here? Alone? Oh, actually, let me tell you. Because it's a very special day, everyone was celebrating the island and they had this marathon. Yes, they had a marathon in a wedding day. They had a marathon in that forest. Oh, it's such a weird forest. Anyway, because they are the only runners because they're so fast and they got first place. First place is one. And how did they get a first place? By having a personal record, a BR. They hit a BR. Woo! Wow, they have hit it. And that, my friend, to remind you that the way Fungolimid, the flamingos work by modulating S1 APR receptors. And when that happens, they lead to the receptor internalization and downregulation. When that happens, it kind of prevents lymphocytes from exiting the lymph nodes into the circulation. Therefore, the flamingos are standing there. Uh, the frogs can't leave the lymph nodes. They don't want to leave the lymph nodes because they're afraid of fungal limit. Yeah, I hope that helps in you remembering how it works. And because also before we move on, the adverse effects of fungal limit is bradycardia and AV block. And if you look at the flamingos, you can see that they have run very fast. That you know everyone else, if you're watching, your heart could go slow and just, uh, you know, I don't know, find a way to relate that to bradycardia and AV block. I know. I wonder how they got first place with these skinny legs. But hey, I'm not gonna judge. Uh, all right, moving on to another medication is presented by the dolphins, which are jumping over the place, creating massive movement, and they just increase energy in the room. And that, my friend, to remind you that the dalfampridine is given only to a specific subset of patients, and it is to increase their walking ability and walking speed. So it is to create movement. But too much dancing, sometimes it makes everyone dance, even when they don't want to dance. Oh, uncontrolled, involuntary movement. I think, my friend, that's called seizures. Yes, because that's one of the adverse effects of dalfampridine is seizures. Going on to our next medication, we see the goblin right there standing in the corner, clad. Clad the goblin. Ooh, what is he doing? So, cladribine works by being a purine nucleoside analog, which basically what it does, it inhibits lymphocyte replication. It inhibits the lymphocytes from, wait, no, okay. No, no. So it inhibits the lymphocytes of making love and replicating? Oh no. Okay, but it does that by standing there and blocking all the private spaces in the forest so no one can go there and the lymphocytes cannot replicate. Yes, it does that. Now, Among the side effects of Clad the Goblin is tetragenicity. Tetragenicity, oh, look at the goblin. He just doesn't look doesn't look normal as a human. So I guess that to resemble tetragenicity. And that we have talked about cladribine, dalfenbridine, fingolimod, etalizumab, acrylizumab, and corticosteroids. That wraps up our sketch today of the medications of multiple sclerosis. I hope you found it helpful.